Silver jewelry and silverware growing the market sustainably. And I'm sure Rahul Mehta sir would have more to add here now. So everyone, we have a very distinguished panel of guests here. They are literally what you call dynamic leaders in this industry segment. The session is being chaired by none other than Mr. Chirag, Sheth, who's known for his deep insights. So ladies and gentlemen, as I start announcing these names, it's time for our panelists to please come up and take their seats here. Mr. Chirag Sheth of Metals Focus would be moderating this session. Mr. Sheth has already been introduced yesterday, but let me quickly reiterate. He is the Principal Consultant South Asia for Metals Focus, and with over 17 years of deep expertise in precious metals research, he has advised refineries, banks, and trade associations across the region. Our speakers for this panel are Mr. Sidharth Gupta of ACPL Exports. As the director, ACPL, let me tell you, is a very prominent name in the silverware and luxury gifting industry. Known for merging modern design with traditional silver craftsmanship, he has positioned ACPL as a global brand exporting high-quality silver products. And he continues to lead innovations that elevate India's presence in international silverware and decor markets. Mr. Rahul Mehta is the Managing Director of Silver Emporium Private Limited, a name that needs no introduction to anyone who is a connoisseur of silver. One of India's leading silver manufacturing companies. Under his leadership, the brand has become synonymous with luxury and elegance in handcrafted silver products. Mr. Mehta is a very vocal proponent of value addition, design excellence, and global outreach for India's silverware and gifting segments. Inviting next is the co-founder and CEO of Purple Jewels, Mr. Nitesh Jain. Mr. Nitesh Jain is transforming how India views silver jewelry. With a background in finance and a flair for brand building, he has created a youth-oriented silver jewelry brand that appeals to modern consumers. His approach bridges affordability, fashion, and quality, encouraging wider adoption of silver in daily wear. And finally, inviting up here, the Managing Director of Pranda India, Mr. Vinod Tejwani. Pranda India is a part of the global Pranda group based in Thailand, and with a vast experience in the jewelry business, Mr. Tejwani has been instrumental in establishing Pranda's presence in India, focusing on quality silver jewelry. His international expertise brings valuable insights into market demands, consumer behavior, and export opportunities for Indian silver. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to this illustrious panel. And now I leave the podium in the hands of the very able Mr. Chirag Sheth.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for setting the tone to Mr. Ankur Goel. When we talk about precious metals in India, we often talk about gold and the importance of India in the global gold market, but we tend to overlook how important India is in the global silver market, especially jewelry and silverware. And just to give you a perspective, I think we contribute to roughly 43% of global jewelry demand and about 70% of global silverware demand. And I think that's the importance of India in the global silver scale. Having said that, I think the Indian silver market still has a long way to go in terms of technological advancement, retail advancement, compared to what we've seen in the gold market over the last probably 10 years. We've got a fantastic panel, people who can actually shed some light on it, and let's see over the next, I think we've got about 30 to 40 minutes, we'll get some insights on it. It's been interesting times. You've seen record high in gold prices. We've seen records high in silver prices. And probably I'll start with my panelists just shed maybe 2-3 minutes of their view on how they are seeing the entire landscape changing in wake of record high global prices.
Good morning. See, with the gold pricing being so high, I think so is direct impact and direct benefit the silver industry is getting. Uh, if I see last 3 to 4 years, the kind of silver jewelry which is sold in India is as good as gold jewelry with the kind of plating and designs which are available. This definitely, for a consumer to have a choice between gold and silver at these prices, silver definitely adds a great value. And the way the industry has been expanding in last 3 years is really fascinating to see. Uh, I think so it's a crux where we can see silver industry exploding in Indian markets.
Well, what I see is that silver is, the next big thing in jewelry, especially. Gold, if you look at the Indian market, the Indian consumer, is the gold is becoming quite unaffordable for the major portion of the consumers. And silver is the next best option that they have, it being considered as one of the noble metals. And, it is not tagged as, an imitation. So the problem with, the other jewelries which are available, which could be an alternate to gold jewelry, there is a lot of good jewelry even done in brass, but then they are termed and coined as imitation jewelry, which is not, a consumer would not like to wear or call that they are wearing a imitation jewelry. So, and because of the prices and the value addition that as an investment also that, the silver holds. So silver I see has a great future, and a lot of innovation in manufacturing is happening. A lot of good factories are coming up. India is picking up to, new age technologies of manufacturing, and that will add to, for us as a creator, or you can say a manufacturer, to add, good designs so that, the consumers can actually look forward to silver jewelry.
Sidharth, if probably you could give a view on the export side, since y'all are one of the largest exporters from India. How is the export market changing in the wake of higher prices, but also global economic uncertainties? Are you seeing your consumers adapting to, how are they adapting to this thing?
Sure, thank you. I think first I'll talk generic about the silver market, and I'll come to the export point
Sure.
here. See, I think the way we at ACPL look at this market is there's a huge shift which is happening in consumption patterns now because of this whole disruption, because of the internet and the new generation. Their aspirations are different. They consume differently. So there is a huge amount of consumer shift happening from gold to other products, and silver will definitely benefit from that. Generally speaking, we see a lot more silver which is out there in mainstream retail stores across India.
Percentage, we have millennials coming up, we have technology coming up, we have compliances coming up. I think there is a way lots of things can be done in silver. The first part is, I would say, let us not look silver as a metal. Silver, we need to see it as a brand, we need to see as a story. From there it can take off. This is what I...
Actually, Rahul and Nitesh, this question to both of y'all, probably Rahul, if you could start. In last 10 years, if you actually look at from a jewelry standpoint, right, gold jewelry market has not, the base has not increased. Obviously, the price has gone up, so value of gold jewelry sold in India has actually, gone up. But if you look at volume, last 10 years, it's been kind of stagnant. Whereas if you look at silver, then there is a growth of at least 60-70% over the last 10 years. Despite that, we've not seen, aside from what Sidharth mentioned, few handful of players who've become organized. Silver jewelry market, silverware market in India is still largely absolutely unorganized. While Ankurji did show that there is 92% silver being sold, but all of us know majority of the silver which is getting sold in India is probably 40, 50, 60% purity. Why is it that despite the fact that silver market has grown so exponentially, Indian silver market has still remained largely unorganized with lack of transparency?
So I would say there are two problems to this. One is on the regulatory part. Mandatory hallmark is not there in India. So once the mandatory hallmarking comes in place in silver, definitely the quality standards will start going up. If the quality standards starts going up, the manufacturing needs to get much more organized. They will start setting up much more better factories, better quality control. And for the industry to grow, it is very important that the quality of the silver which is sold at the store is certified and of the right quality. If you talk about from the perspective of a buyer who's walking into a store and buying a piece of jewelry, it is very important he gets the value of a product, what he's buying, what he's paying for. So the problem is more because there are no good manufacturing setups across India. And I would say the manufacturing setups are not set up because there are no regulatory pressure currently in the market. If mandatory hallmark comes in place,
No,
you
but
will see.
Rahul, sorry, but what is stopping mandatory hallmark? Because I don't understand the argument which is often given that there are less number of hallmarking centers. I don't think that argument really stands, right? You've got more than 700 hallmarking centers in India. I think there are 300 or 400 hallmarking centers which are equipped to do silver hallmarking. So what is really stopping? Are you saying is it government's will, or is it industry not being transparent to the government that this is possible?
So I would say a lot of organizations here, councils like Jewellery Export Council, your GJC, IPJA, these organizations are there. But I think so the initiative has to come from when the industry represents, they want to get mandatory hallmarking in place. The government is much more proactive. Right now, majority of the players, manufacturers, retailers, or the entire ecosystem of the silver industry, they are scattered. They are not all under a single umbrella. So first is once they come under one single umbrella, the education as well as the adaptation of hallmarking will definitely come. But if that doesn't happen, I think so what needs to be done, it has to come from the top. Government make it mandatory, the hallmarking silver is going to come, and you will see majority of the players falling into place.
Sure. Nitesh, what about you?
The problem is in, it's kind of a cultural shift which is required. So, there is no education, no proper, facilities of manufacturing there. And that is the reason we are still, not able to, most of them are not following the standards which are actually required. So, and we, as a industry, we don't have a proper, one body representation which could talk on behalf of the industry. So we need to have such a representation which will actually take up these things to the government or, talk to the stakeholders and get to a conclusion that this needs to be done for the industry. And if that does not happen, what we see is, we'll just keep talking and things won't move in the right direction. And if at all, we have a good representation, the industry will scale overall.
Right. Rahul, you want to comment on that?
I would like to also add majority of the organizations which have silver body or silver panel with their association, the people who are representing the industry are not from the industry. That's a very sad part. So how can you expect those guys to take the things forward?
Right. Okay, that's a interesting point. Sidharth, how do you look at this? You are one of the first real big factories to look at the export market. You've got a large presence, and you also do a lot of domestic business as well, right? So what do you think is ailing the Indian silver industry, which despite the fact has seen increase in volumes, there is growing amount of demand for silver jewelry, has not been able to organize itself? Is it lack of will of the players, or do you think it's a larger regulatory issue?
Well, I think the most important point that I can think of is consumer awareness. We recently conducted a research across India for silver consumption, And there were many cohorts in this research. And there were some young women, young men, second cohort, mid-aged women. And we tried to understand, like, what is it that these guys are doing to consume jewelry? Like, and specifically, this was done to understand silver. So the thing is that, the younger audience, the Gen Zs and, the teens and even the kids who are in the colleges right now, I mean, for them, their consumption psychology, I mean, so we all understand that the design is the main point here that everybody is looking for from a consumer standpoint. The purity of the product, all these are hygiene factors, like, which is a good to have thing.
Yeah.
But the primary thing that the consumer is looking at is the design.
Yeah.
And the uniqueness of the product.
Yeah.
And how it solves their specific needs. Yeah. So, and if you look at the mid-age audience, the women, the married women and working women, so they are certainly more value inclined. They prefer more silver. They would go for something which is silver. Of course, that being said, does not mean that design is not important. That's still the primary thing. But they are more value centric, like, they understand.
Sure.
So I think the consumer awareness is the biggest tool that needs to be looked at. How Tanishq was able to crack the gold market, like, by creating awareness about.
Hold your thought on that. Actually wanted to ask this question to all of you all, right? You saying consumer awareness is not there, right? But actually, if you take a step back and look at 20 years ago when Tanishq or Malabar or Joy kind of entered, right? They didn't wait for the industry as a whole to come together and start awareness about hallmarking or purity, right? What is stopping large manufacturers, right, which are there in this industry, to start with a consumer awareness campaign? In fact, it works for y'all, right? Because y'all are 92.5 jewelry manufacturers, silverware manufacturers, right? To start this awareness and tell the consumer that probably the silver that you have is 30-40%.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a couple of brands that we are already working on for the longest time, and we get all our silver hallmarked. I mean, a couple of million pieces every year, like, But the issue is also, we were talking about 1 or 2 gram pieces, 3 gram pieces, which is a very low value to really run after. Like, we were talking to some marketing people. We hired some marketing teams to do some of this awareness campaigns and stuff like that. So they really came back to us. They're like, do you really want to talk about this product worth 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees? Because this e-commerce, this is the price point, 2,000. 1,500 to 2,000. So there is also the thinking that, is it worth really going after? Because there's the cost of the silver that is going in there is probably just 200, 300 rupees. If you look at a consumer's point of view, he might be paying 2,000 rupees, but in reality, the product, the value of silver is so small. So as a logistics, it's a big challenge to address. But that being said, we still have been promoting hallmark 925 sterling silver jewelry to our customers, like they do in the UK. Where they have a standard wherein jewelers cannot sell even silver below 7 some grams. It has to be hallmarked. I think we have to start somewhere there. There needs to be a regulation. I would not say, okay, every piece of jewelry 1 or 2 grams need to be hallmarked. That might be a logistic nightmare. It cannot happen.
Sure.
So we need to balance this whole value and hygiene factor. But absolutely, I mean, I would say in India we can start with, okay, anything beyond 10 grams has to be hallmarked.
Sure. Vinod bhai, I actually wanted to ask you, you are at a unique place, right? You are representing Pranda jewelry in India, Pranda is a very well-known name in the global scheme of things. Plus, the company comes from Thailand, which is like the hub of silver jewelry, right? Now, tell me one thing, India to that extent, how can it compete against some of these global jewelry hubs, given all the challenges that we have in the Indian market? Still, we've been able to do pretty well in the silver space, in terms of silver jewelry space. How do you think India can compete against the global players? Is it we need to focus more on designs, we need to focus more on pricing, or as Indian manufacturers need to do more research to understand the consumer in the West?
First, let me put it clear that as an industry, we as an entrepreneurs need to uplift ourselves. We need to raise our bar, we need to raise our standards. As Mr. Goel's presentation was like, we have so many issues within our own manufacturing facilities or the intention. I think intention plays a very important role. And once we uplift ourselves and our mindset that we want to give a good product line, I think we can do better. That is number one aspect that we can evolve from. Second, as I can see in India, we have Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, we have GJC as a platform. They are focused on gold jewelry. GJC is on gold jewelry. Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council is on diamonds. Then you have the Colorstone associations. I think for us, we need to come up with silver promotion councils. Once we have this as a highlighting point that we are also very serious about promoting silver, and then we can raise our standards and we can put across to the bodies and the governments and to the trade that how can we evolve ourselves and compete on the global market. So this is the fundamentals that I would like to go into. And then you have a different mindset that we can speak later, but I think this is where we need to evolve. As a mindset, we need to grow.
Sure. Nitesh, I want to ask you this thing. We've seen massive increase in exports over the last 10 years of silver jewelry, right? And I think to an extent, Indian silver jewelry manufacturers have been able to compete strongly with the Thai jewelry manufacturers. And if you actually look at our exports, it has increased quite a lot. Compare that to silverware, the exports have actually not meaningfully picked up. What is the problem? Is it our lack of understanding of the Western market? Or is it that we are lacking in design, we are lacking in probably quality of artisans? Because I don't think our artisans lack skills, right? We have one of the best artisans in the world. Why have we not been able to capture the export market like we've been able to do in the jewelry?
There are quite a few things actually here. One, we as a manufacturer, a lot of us are so focused on the domestic market that we are not looking at the export side of it. Because, the design language for India is completely different from what is, consumed in, say, a US market or a UK market. So even there, if at all we are looking at exports, we are looking at the same, kind of people to buy the products that we manufacture here. But not that, silver is not being consumed by the foreigners there. They also have a lot of silverware and silver tableware and all that, which is again a good big market. But then we are not, concentrating on those designs and developing that kind of finish what is required for those markets. So, and also, a lot of exposure level is very crucial here. I don't see much of, manufacturers here who are into artifacts, traveling abroad, trying to understand, what is the kind of, products that would sell there. And once, if at all we get to know, and if at all, we work on, the entire chain of it, the supply chain, how the logistics will happen, how we are going to promote our products there or get in contact with people who are consuming those kind of products. If we do that homework, definitely I think, and come back and develop those products here, we will be able to sell it there. The reason being, India is still very cheap in terms of manufacturing. compared to, if at all I would have to make a silverware in UK, it would be much more expensive than,
Yeah, that's what
actually
I'm
making
saying.
it
So
here
why
and
have,
say-
what is the big issue?
It's just that, we are not putting that effort there.
But do you also think that,
Because we are so concentrating only on the domestic market here.
right, right.
And see, the education is also not there. Like we have the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, but we don't see any representation for silver. There is no, education regarding to the manufacturers that, how you could actually, what you could do, how, why do we have such, so many, few exporters, very few exporters. India actually, the kind of global market is there,
Yeah.
the kind of exports that we do is too less.
Yes.
Why is it so? Because, it is a normal person, a normal small time manufacturer or even a big manufacturer feels that, it is too tough to export. The kind of paperwork, the kind of, other hindrances, the government issues are so much, you go to like I had to do one show in Dubai. The kind of harassment that I had to go at the Delhi, through the Delhi airport for just taking my products to Dubai, it was, kind of, so, you step back.
Right.
So the
Is-
kind of support that is required is not there.
Surendra Bhai is not here, right? Otherwise, I think if the one thing which is clear is if an association is something which is missing, then I don't
And I think
understand
silver,
honestly.
See, silver, there are, when like you told, why didn't Tanishq wait for the association to,
Yeah,
because Tanishq has a big backing.
yeah.
But do you see any silver manufacturer or a silver jeweler? The commodity looks big, but it's still a low, compared to gold, it is a low value product.
No, that
The
I agree,
kind
but
of
we've got
money.
three
See,
large
to make
manufacturers sitting here. Why
See, but
don't
still,
y'all?
Three manufacturers together could also not do an impact which is required.
No, I understand your point.
The entire industry together has to come up. It cannot be 3-4 people like how it could be done in gold. And see, you are talking about retailers there.
Yeah.
Retailers have a different agenda. When they are
No,
doing
I
it, they are
agree.
doing it for themselves, and they see an immediate result. If ACPL or Silver Emporium or Purple had to do it, we are not there into much of retail where we see a direct impact.
Yeah.
So we are just a supplier. Even if we do all the things, we try to promote and all that, we will not be the direct benefit, we will not bear the direct benefit of it. It is going to be a retailer.
But also then, Rahul, I want to ask, what Nitesh pointed out on the retail, right? But also you don't have a big silver retailer as well, right? So that's also one problem. While, Sidharth pointed out that some of these large players now have got a floor of silver jewelry, that still, as a part of their overall balance sheet or profit and loss statement, is still very, very small, right? So then, given the fact that silver market is so rapidly changing, and probably we think at Metals Focus that essentially with silver, gold prices reaching ₹1,00,000, you will see a lot of younger generations, moving towards lightweight silver jewelry, which is more trendy, with a better design. So then you also don't have retailers, right? So then probably it's a chicken and egg situation, which you are perennially stuck in.
So Chirag bhai, I would like to address the export first.
Yeah.
The reason why Indian manufacturers are not able to make a substantial difference in the export market is because in India, majority, there are no manufacturers. There are small workshops. If you can talk about large organized manufacturing, you cannot count on your fingers also. Even after being such a large market, you don't have organized manufacture. For a buyer to buy from India, you need good organized setup to have that confidence to place orders. The design can be executed on time. If those kind of facilities are not there in India, how can you expect these guys to come and place order over here? So that's one of the challenge. And other way, when we talk about the retail, why there are no large or retail silver jewelry brands or silver articles brand, I think so. Last 3 to 4 years, what you have seen is Indian markets are growing, and we will see that big change coming in. Lot of retailers are planning to open chain of silverware and silver jewelry stores in a near future. So this market will come up. But for that also, we will need to see large manufacturers to set up huge units to support their expansion.
Sure. Sidharth, what role does bank play as an exporter? What is the role of the bank? Because we hear a lot of time that unlike the banking products which are available to the gold players like GML, or export gold, in silver, there is still a long way to go. So what role does bank play for you as an exporter?
I think primarily, the banks are, we are involved because we have to import a lot of silver.
Yeah.
Because we are exporting for the duty drawback. So bank is a critical link in that value chain, and this whole governance that needs to be applied. And other than that, I think banks can, of course, help with a lot of payment realizations from clients. A lot of times we have had taken help from our banks to help with credit risk assessment for a lot of
Right.
export entities.
But is lack of metal loan a problem to you as a silver exporter, as a silver manufacturer, or you think that's okay? Even if that's not available, we are able to do business.
No, I think silver loans by the banks will definitely be a very beneficial thing for the industry. And I think, even in the Indian market, I would say the same. This is something that could be a game changer for the Indian retailers. There's a whole ecosystem that can benefit from this silver loans cycle.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, Vinod bhai, I wanted to ask you, one thing that you see missing in the Indian silver market when you try to compare it with the global silver market. What is that one thing that you would like to change at this moment?
What I want to see is that we need to be brand conscious. We need to evolve as a brand. In India, no silver has its own identity or its own brand. Like you have Royal Senecnor from Malaysia coming up, you have George Jensen from Denmark. Even Ladro is being able to sell a brand from the clay or whatever they make it from. I think as a nation, we are a nation of craftsmen. We are a nation of artisans. We have all the resources available with us. I think we should have a brand which should evolve in an international market. That is very crucial for us. And then we need to have a very organized and a robust manufacturing system that we need to take it ahead. We need to be a very responsible company or a responsible organization to evolve and tell the world, yes, we do it in a very ethical and very way with integrity.
So what you're saying is responsible sourcing is also equally as important in silver as it is in gold or in diamond, because we don't hear people talking about responsible sourcing in silver.
I think apart from sourcing is recycling, and then we get it from the market, we get it from bank, that is one part. But what we really need to understand is we need to be a responsible manufacturer. By being a responsible manufacturer, we need to adhere that we do not use cadmium, we do not use nickel, and then we have an organized and well-paid people or craftsmen that we should pay. We should make a good manufacturing facilities to provide them good facilities for them to work, the working culture, working atmosphere. I think this is also very crucial at a ground level to evolve ourselves as a world-class brand.
Sure. Rahul, and you and I have discussed this many times. Silver prices are highly volatile. you're seeing massive movement these days, 2-3% movement, these days have become the norm. In that kind of scenario, in a market which is so unorganized, right, how does a manufacturer look at his risk management and how important it is?
So last maybe couple of years, we have got used to that kind of volatility. 2% plus minus has become a norm on a daily basis. So as a manufacturer, it's most about replacement. So amount of silver which we sold today, at what price we are replacing, that is very important. So that is how we usually manage. And there are, like the MCX, you can hedge your positions over there. So there are instruments available here in India where you can actually manage your risk in an effective manner. And MCX plays a very, very important role in that.
But, our manufacturers also, and Nitesh, if you could also add to this, our manufacturers also now looking at probably SEPA silver, IIBX. Do you all hedge back to back on MCX? Our manufacturers do manufacturers really understand these and how they could use these tools?
So we are registered with IIPX. We do import our silver requirements from there. So definitely as a manufacturer, majority of the manufacturers or wholesaler do understand how do they hedge their positions on the commodity exchange. So that kind of education, I think so most of the manufacturers and wholesalers are very aware about that.
Nitesh, what do you think?
Yes, I think, see, it's a trade which understands that you need to maintain your stocks. And you are playing on your delta. Basically, you try to play on the profits that you make on your making charges and all that.
Yeah.
So you maintain your stock. What you benefit from it over the years is a separate thing. But I don't think most of the manufacturers are willing to sell at a price point and then wait to buy it at a lower price point. I don't think, because you never know which way it will swing.
But also we've often seen, right, when silver prices tends to go down, right, suddenly import spikes. But when we are speaking with the retailer or the manufacturer, we don't see that kind of sales happening, right? So aren't manufacturers or even wholesalers stocking up physical silver in anticipation that the price will increase? But you don't see that happening in gold. And whereas normally in India, nobody hedges, so our manufacturers, wholesalers and retailers not taking price risk, which eventually is a risky business.
See, what happens in a retail segment is on a day-to-day basis, what they are selling is also what they are buying.
Right.
So there is an automatic hedging happening there.
Right.
Not that they sell that and they are hedging on MCX. What they do is if they sell, say, 1 kilo of gold today, they also replace it with 1 kilo of stocks again.
Yeah, but what about silver?
Silver is also the same.
Thing.
So there is a regular buying happening at the retail end where they are selling. It might not be the exact number, but here or there, they are almost, covering up.
Sure. Nitesh, I'll want to first congratulate you on your very successful PE investment. I think you are one of the first of its kind in India. Probably you could give a view to the audience that what needs to be done, what is it that the VCs or the PEs are actually looking at? Because in last 4 or 5 years, we've seen phenomenal amount of money coming into jewelry companies, right? You've had successful IPOs from all. And in fact, actually, if you look at the stock performance of likes of Thangamahal or Sky Gold, as we were discussing yesterday, they have had phenomenal run. So there was, and I used to do quite a few road shows for some of these, FIA firms. There was always interest in the Indian gold market. Probably we didn't have enough supply available. So if you could just tell the audience, what is it that a PE or a VC looks at?
See, what I see is it is a great place to be at, because the kind of value unlocking can happen when you're, trying to go for a PE round, or if you're going for an IPO. That would not be possible with the kind of just regular business that we do. The price unlocking is not there. You're just making your profits over the turnovers that you do, and that's it. But with the actual, public involvement or the funding involvement, the value unlocking, the kind of efforts that you put in creating a company, which would take a lot of time for it to be duplicated.
Yeah.
So from a VC point or from an investor point, what he looks at is what is different in your company, how, you know, if whether you have a right process in place, you have right governance in place, and if at all, you know, you are making a good, you know, return on your capital employed, then a VC would be interested. Right. And he also looks at, you know, how are you going to sustain say a 30% growth year on year, and if at all you can maintain your profits. So for that, as a company, you need to be very innovative in products. You need to make sure that, you know, you are always on your toes, so that, you know, you are meeting the targets.
When can we apply to your IPO? When is that coming?
Well, it will take some time.
Sure. Rahul, can you tell me in silverware industry, what are the two trends that you see happening over the next probably 5 years? And this actually question is to all of you also. You know, Sidharth and Nitesh, you could concentrate on the jewelry side, and both of you all could concentrate on the articles and the wear side. What are two trends that you see unfolding in next probably 3 to 5 years? Because one thing which we see really picking up is silver, gold-plated silver jewelry. I think that is at higher gold prices, that could be the big game changer. What are two things that you see could be the big game changer?
So what we have seen is silverware as an industry is expanding into multiple categories. Like the furniture segment is very strong, home decor artifact segment is very strong. Now the gifting segment, which predominantly silver used to be very strong, it is changing a lot because of the pricing being so high. So there are a lot of innovative products which are coming into this space where people are still managed to able to gift silver, but at a lower price point. So I think so gifting and home decor, we see that's a huge, big space which is going to be there and which should keep on growing over a period of time.
But in gifting segment, would you see reductions in weight? Probably, are you already starting to see, you know, people move towards lightweight gifting articles?
Yeah, so what we have seen is a lot of combination of stones, combination of wood along with silver. So these kind of things have started coming in where the cost of the silver goes down, but the quality remains the same. So in terms of the size of the gift, it remains the same, but you're just replacing some pieces of the metal with wood or stones.
Sure. Nitesh?
In jewelry, what we see is, you know, a lot of lightweight jewelry is going to be trending now, because a lot of, you know, brands are coming up. A lot of things are being sold online, and online actually runs on a price point, like he said.
Yeah.
You know, the bracket is about 1,500 to 2,500, where that kind of jewelry, and what happens is, like, in a, you know, the markup is also very high. So ultimately you tend to, you know, sell a lot of lightweight jewelry. So that will happen, and a lot of, you know, imported jewelry. You see, we are just not talking of the Indian manufactured goods here. There is a lot of imported jewelry which is coming, say, from Turkey or Bangkok or China, which is also, you know, selling very good in India. So India imports a lot of it. Maybe tons and tons of silver is coming every month, and a lot of that is being sold here.
So, you know, since you mentioned imported jewelry, and I wanted to bring this up. So we've had a free trade agreement with Thailand. Vinod, if you could also, you know, probably comment on that. We've often seen in gold free trade agreements being misused, right? Things come into the country in a certain form, gets melted, sold into bars, trying to circumvent, you know, duty or benefit, you know, abnormal profits. As a local manufacturer, free trade agreements impact you, given that a lot of these come in at duty-free or virtually at extremely low duties? Does that really impact your business, or you think in silver it doesn't happen, where jewelry comes in, gets melted and sold into bars?
See, that kind of leakage will be there. I'm not saying that it is not there. It could be there, but the impact is not that huge, I feel, because especially in silver jewelry, the making charges and markups are a little high, so that kind of difference would not make that big an impact.
Sure. Vinod bhai?
think the FTA part is blatantly misused by
Right.
the Indians.
So in silver as well, you are saying it is getting
I
misused.
don't think there is much to be misused in silver because
Right.
value addition,
Yes.
is very important. And I
Yes.
think the acceptance of silver jewelry, even after duty paid, has become a norm.
Yeah.
So this does not make a much impact or dent our systems, but definitely gold FTA has made a big dent.
So what you're saying is silver FTA jewelry imports or article imports are genuine imports which are, no, Rahul doesn't agree to that. Rahul, what do you think? Rahul thinks no FTA is for genuine purpose.
So I would say the FTA agreements which are in place currently, definitely majority of the FTA agreements were misused, and whatever was imported was melted and sold into bars. So that fact is well known in the market, and those was not used in the way it was to be used.
Sure. Okay, Vinodji, since you have the mic, what are two changes that you see?
I think silver jewelry will evolve. That is one part, but that is generic way of growth. But I think there is a big potential of silver artifacts to grow.
Right.
That is a market which is still needs to grow and evolve over a period of time. So
Right.
I think there is a big gap in this particular segment, and not only in India. I think that can also work for the international market. If we have our good design houses and we make it for the world, we can do it as a value-added item for the international market. So this is where I see a big potential coming in.
But as Rahul said in artifacts, he's seeing furniture as the big pickup. Are you seeing anything specific which is kind of big pickup? Are those frames or things which you
I
see?
think there are two aspects when you consider silver from India.
Yeah.
One is the Indian diaspora, which is also a big consumer of silver product line. You can have devotional items, you can have so many things of household use that can
Yeah.
be sold to the Indian diaspora also. And for the international market, we need to design as per the requirements or as per the understanding of the international market. And we have all the resources. I think we have good design houses in India. We can source it through the institutes which are coming up. But we need to have to tweak our sense of designing to the international requirements. That is important.
Sure. Sidharth?
I think there are few trends that we are tracking, and the demand is increasing. Silver with diamond is one thing.
Yeah.
Lab-grown diamonds.
Yeah.
Increasingly more and more demand coming in, even from the United States.
Sure.
That is one thing. For the India market, I think there's a big opportunity to do silver with a lot of semi-precious stones. I mean, like United States is such a big market for semi-precious stones already. Jaipur is exporting so much, but India has that's something that again talks about awareness and making that product available for the Indian consumer.
Yeah.
And creating awareness about the semi-precious. A lot of people are there who understand it, and they are the early adopters of these things in India.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of brands, especially some startups, make good headway into these niche segments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you talked about gold-plated silver
Yeah.
or vermeil silver.
Yeah.
So these are definitely all avenues that are there. And while we were talking about startups, I think this is the next going to be the next wave, because now
Yes.
because the startups are coming in.
Yeah.
So when a startup comes into this heavily incumbent jewelry business, which was there occupied by the big gold and diamond players. So these startups bring a very fresh approach.
Yeah.
And they are able to, because a lot of these guys are outside the industry,
Yeah.
they see it from a very different lens.
Yes.
They are able to see consumer insights, that a lot of things that we who are in the business, we are never able to see.
Yeah.
We've been talking about years for this.
Yeah.
But as an outsider, a lot of good companies are doing a lot of good work, and they are growing these micro niches,
Yeah.
markets,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, already I'm seeing so many, countless number of startups coming in silver now.
Yeah.
I mean, every day you're seeing a new brand popping up.
And do you also see then, because these startups are coming up and most of them are selling online jewelry, I think obviously, online jewelry at this moment is a very, very small percentage of the overall sales for silver. Do you think that's the next space to be, and probably more and more retailers, manufacturers will start D2C business, or do you think manufacturers will still continue to focus on B2B rather than direct to consumer?
Well, I think digital first is approach is very important now. I mean, we were talking to some companies who do help you in marketing and setting up brands.
Yeah.
So I mean, this whole consumer segment, which is there, people who want to buy products which are easier on the pocket
Yeah.
and also fashionable and stuff like that. So for them, it's very important that you are a digitally focused company.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. I mean, this cannot be said. There is no replacement to this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your go-to-market strategy
Yeah.
also has to
be
address this
digital.
in a big time. Because otherwise you lose a lot of customers. And also one thing I want to say is, for silver to really grow, one thing I feel is that silver has to come in the modern retail.
Yes.
It's not there. Silver has been selling in the traditional markets. It's sold at mom and pop jewelers, independent jewelers.
Yeah.
But I think the next growth wave in India that India still has to see and build is silver in modern retail.
Yeah.
I mean, how many malls are you walking and seeing silver being sold?
True.
I mean, it's Jiva that is.
Jiva has been
I
doing
was
it.
talking to Ishendra, and of course they've been funded, but there's a lot of pressure on them because now they are. I see them getting confused. They are now talking about gold. They're talking about whatnot. So that's because in the startup ecosystem, there's always the investors, and you need to deliver to the investors.
Yes.
That being said, but I think silver in modern retail is a big step that we all need to address, and how that can be done successfully will really unlock a big market.
Sure. Okay. You want to comment, Rahul, on that?
See, on the modern retail, since you brought this topic, so we would be opening our first high street retail store in coming months. And this is a space where we are looking at is a huge scope, because there is no nationalized silver brand present in a high street mall which is only selling silver.
Right. Great. Okay, so time for some questions. We've got some interesting one. So there's one question: what is stopping companies to invest in branding for silver and make 1, 2, or more very good brands for silver? Rahul, you want to take that?
I think the market didn't mature, but in last couple of years the market has matured, and you will see a lot of brands coming in this space, because when you have retail presence and when you have brands which are focusing only on silver, you will see a lot of brands coming up in coming years, and this is a space which is going to be very hot in next couple of years.
Sure. So I think this second one is really interesting and something which I can share, because we cover a lot of countries, and we've seen innovative campaigns for people to buy gold, right? Even in India, you've got Akshaya Tritiya, right? If you go to Vietnam, which is probably 1/10 of size of India, you've got at least 5-6 days to buy gold. In India, we've just got one Akshaya Tritiya, right? But silver industry lacks, absolutely, it has nothing, right? Where you are kind of promoting people to go out, buy silver. Probably, Nitesh, I would actually want all of your
See, a
view
lot
on
of
this.
things boils down to not having a representation.
Yeah,
if
but
at all you had, and you don't have the brands here. If you had the brands would promote.
No,
And
but also, Nitesh, sorry, but in lot of these countries, right, where these days actually started, it is the industry who came together and did that, right?
See, the
I
industry-
understand Akshaya Tritiya was World Gold Council's brilliant idea, but not every country has backing of World Gold Council or a local association,
True,
right?
but here the jewelers are, who are actually, now you are having stores which are coming up, which are predominantly only silver.
Yeah.
Earlier it used to be gold, where silver was a counter.
Yeah.
So there they used to promote gold. There are days when, Valentine's Day is there,
Agreed.
Father's Day, Mother's Day, every, engagement rings, they promote platinum. They are not promoting silver there because what they see is the kind of expense that you're making and the kind of return that you would get on that expense would be very less when you are promoting silver.
Yeah.
So that would happen only when you have silver specific brands are there who will focus only on silver, or you have a big, entity like association or a World Silver Council kind of a thing, which could actually promote silver, which would benefit the overall silver sales in the entire ecosystem.
Right. I don't know if my... sure, yeah.
Way beyond Akshay Tritiya, Diwali, Christmas, whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying silver needs to come with second, but that's the way to think about, out of the box. And this is something very specific.
Sure. Okay. And Sidharth, actually, I wanted your view. What do you think? Why is there no...
See, generally speaking, I would like to say that branding is a long-term commitment, and it takes a lot of resources for any one company to do it. I mean, we've been talking about this internally for many years, and there's immense amount of capital that can be deployed and needs to be deployed for a long term to create brands. Like we already know, like, okay, there are brands of gold and diamond, but how many brands of silver are there? But that brings us back to this, because I was talking to some, again, because we are working on such initiatives. But again, whenever you are talking, so I'll give you an example. In 2002 or 2003, we launched a silver brand. That was way ahead of its time. We had about 120 shop-in-shops at lifestyle stores in modern retail. We got hammered out of the market because there was no space of silver, space for silver as a category. I mean, we were kept along with the costume jewelry, at those counter, right there. So when we partnered with Planet M stores, you remember at that time there were Planet M stores. So we were like, okay, there's the right audience walking into these stores. So a lot of efforts have happened at that time, but I think today, of course, is definitely a good time to look at this again. But again, it's a long-term commitment, which I'm sure companies like us need to look at. The retailer plays a very critical role here. So, a manufacturer wanting to be a brand, so your GTM strategy, if you're a manufacturer wanting to be a branded jewelry, has to look at it. I mean, we've tried to do this. We look at it like a very FMCG approach. We have distributors across India.
Yeah.
Our products are available across thousands of retailers across India. But when you really talk about brand and how a brand is perceived and what kind of a connect does a brand have with the consumer, it's very hard to deliver something like this with this kind of a distribution channel. Sure. Which is why Swarovski and all these companies, they went back and opened their own stores. So this branding journey, what I'm saying is a very long-term commitment and very capital intensive. But that being said, it's got to be done, and the winners are the people who will do it.
Yeah.
It's for sure. I mean, that's the moat that companies need to build to survive and sustain in the future. Because if you don't do that, then you are just selling commodity. Yeah. Because I mean, there's so much product coming in from China, like dumping into these stores, and consumers being sold anything, So I think this is the next big opportunity for the Indian market. Yeah.
Sure. We have one suggestion. I will suggest mandatory mentioning of purity of silver, but that's for a retailer to answer, and we don't have a... You want to take, Nitesh?
No, before this, I would also want to add, what happens in India is like India, like we were discussing yesterday, like suppose if ACPL is creating a brand, would another store actually sell ACPL as a brand in its store? It would not.
Yeah.
So that is a big, problem here. We like a Mia would not sell in a, like we were speaking, will not sell in a Malabar.
Yeah.
So, brands as a store will only work in India. Brand as a concept in a a shop in shop will not work.
Yeah,
So we need to have that understanding for the Indian market that if at all, they will have to come up individual brands with individual stores. Only then you will be able to create brands in India. A shop in shop style will not work in India.
Sure, sure. So very quickly, Nitesh, this question. Okay, Rahul, you want to? Because we've absolutely run out of time.
So in terms of the second question, mentioning of purity on the invoices, I think so what can be done is instead of having, till the mandatory hallmarking comes in place, self-regulation can come in place, that can be made mandatory, and every silver piece which is sold in India, the purity has to be mentioned on the invoice. This is something which can be done.
Yeah, okay. Great. One, Nitesh, if you could just answer this probably. Is it possible for top 20 silver companies, sellers, refiners, I don't know, miners, there are no, probably let's say Hindustan Zinc also you add in, across the value chain to activate good decision making for the industry? What do you think? Everything is, in India, at conferences we hear some great ideas, but seldom it gets implemented.
See, it will not happen without the entire participation, because
Yeah.
if 20 companies are going to decide, how do you expect the others to adhere to it?
Sure.
The problem is that. So, you will have to have, a representation which also has a government backing. There needs to be an entire ecosystem created for the long sustainability of the overall market and the growth of the overall market.
Sure. Okay. We've absolutely run out of. Okay, yeah. Suresh Bhai has a question.
अकेले चलिए कारवा बनता जाएगा. It will come to that. Someone has to start.
See, everyone, we are all putting our efforts.
No, I will be joining you.
Sorry?
I will be joining you. One of the 20. Come on. You four be
We are
there.
all taking initiatives in our own way, not that we are
No,
not.
we
are putting our efforts in giving the best product, best practices, trying to, like I was one of the persons who initiated to have an individual silver trade show. You will not believe that trade show, we have close to about 900 stalls today, and
Yes.
which has actually
It was started in
impacted the
Bangalore.
trade in a very big way.
Yes.
So these are the kind of initiatives that we have to take. And
Someone has taken, Bangalore Jewelers taken the first one.
But
But that is started.
Sir, I would like to request you. You
Other
remember.
thing, one thing I would like to know, the GGSC is not only for the gold. It is some mission. There is a silver panel. All are invited. I am the ex-CEO of GGSC. Yesterday, the president chairman, Mr. Rajesh Okri, also invited. Please join us. We will be there. It is a platform. You come, we will be all there. But people are not showing much interest. We have very few members from the silver trade.
But sir, I would actually request you. Remember earlier, we used to do these small forums for gold, right? Where all these things were discussed and representation was sent to the government. I think the need of the hour is to do probably some of these smaller roundtables for silver, because I think, there are a lot of issues with the Indian silver industry faces, and the potential is probably huge. So Sidharth.
On this subject, I would like to say that this is a great event and place to put a seed to do this today. So we should all meet up and have some coffee and do this. And also, what you just said, GJPC has an infrastructure that they do this for various industries. But the problem that we faced was, they said for silver, you have to be a very small company in order to come on to this panel. So what's happening is that leaves everybody out, people like us out of that discussion.
Yeah.
Which is very strange. So I think this is something that can be discussed. For the longest time, we've tried to understand, how can we be involved more in this kind of bodies? But they say you have to be a micro SME in order to be participating.
So, Rahul, final comment. We've absolutely run out of time.
So just a final comment on this. I think so when I say there are a lot of associations.
1 second, Mr. Sidharth. GJC, you have some wrong understanding. All are invited. We don't say is a small or big. We small jewelers, big jewelers, very big jewelers, retailer. Please come, sit with us.
No,
I was mentioning GJEPC.
See, so you was talking about GJPC. Yeah.
I
Rahul.
would like to add, so maybe the associations are there, they are doing their role, but majority of the associations are not represented by the right people from the silver industry to take it forward. That's one of the biggest challenge. I think the point of 20 manufacturers or 20 can come together and start a seed and then increase to 50 or 100. That can be a good starting point.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience and thank you to my panelists.